Parents often raise their children in an isolated and restrictive environment in the hopes of protecting them from negative influences that could steer them in a dangerous direction later in life. Fortunately, this often has the opposite effect, as is the case with my guest today, Goddess Cillian. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Get a little closer on that mic. Don't be afraid.
I'm not afraid.
Okay, I know you're not afraid. You're Goddess Cillian. Of course you're not afraid.
Never.
Never, ever.
Never.
Your story is so interesting to me because you were raised in a more conservative environment, right? And what you do today is such a departure from your childhood.
Oh, absolutely. So
Yeah.
I grew up Christian for the most part. My parents weren't overly conservative. Like we went to a non-denominational church. It was pretty laid back. But of course, I was a gifted kid, so they put me in private school, which was a Lutheran Christian school, which is like a weird Catholic version of Christianity. They do like commencement and all this other.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they do like the baby baptism.
Yeah, they do all the weird shit. Anyways, that place was very, very conservative.
Okay.
And so there was a lot of shame around pretty much anything you could think of. Sex, thinking about queer identities, just anything that teenagers
Well, as there
think
should be
about.
sometimes. You know, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding.
I disagree immensely.
I know. So you grew up that way.
Yes.
And now, I mean, to me, just looking at you, it's pretty obvious. When you told me what you did, I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. You are now a dominatrix.
Yes, I am.
That is your profession.
That is my profession. One of them, but yes.
One of your professions. Okay. But your main one, like your primary profession, would you say?
It is the one that is most important to me.
Okay.
That's for sure. It's the one that I love the most.
Okay.
I feel the most passionate about.
And you make a very nice living.
I do. I bought a house.
You bought a house with dominatrix money.
I sure did.
Wow. I want to get right into the dominatrix stuff, but I want to talk a little bit more about how you were raised first, because going to a private school like that, especially in the Lutheran or, Catholic setting, it is a lot more conservative than, maybe like an evangelical private school. I'm assuming you had to wear the uniforms. Yeah.
Yep. And I was in trouble all the time because I was rolling my skirt too short.
Oh,
pretty much
no.
constantly.
Yeah.
I mean, I really tried to fall in line and be a good Christian girl, and it was just never good enough. There was always more shame. I was always doing something wrong. So at the end, I kind of just said, fuck it.
Right.
I'm going to do what I want. And that was the beginning of the end for that chapter of my life.
How old were you at that point? Like, was it right after you graduated high school, or when did that happen?
My senior year is when I started being a little more deviant, or at least challenging some of the expectations that had been placed on me.
Right.
Just because I was tired of it, and I was getting in trouble anyway. So I was like, well, I might as well do it on purpose. So,
go big or go home.
Yeah, that was my thinking, and I really wanted to experience life, and I wasn't doing that in that environment. All I was doing was eating lunch every day with a bunch of people that were painfully boring and then didn't want to talk about anything important ever.
Well, do you think it's because they were scared too?
I think some of them were scared. I think there definitely was an undertone of fear in that environment, but I think most of them just weren't thinking critically about themselves or the world or anything, and I couldn't think about anything else besides things outside of that place.
Well, that's also pretty intense for like a 17, 18-year-old. I mean, so maybe I feel like, Josh, were you thinking about, how you could change the world and, all this other stuff when you were 17, 18 years old?
I was saying that at like 11.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What have you been doing?
Are y'all both autistic? Am I the only one?
With no goals? Yes.
Okay.
No aspirations, no goals, just
Whatever.
vibes.
I just like podcasting and telling dick jokes, That's kind of my thing.
Pretty par for the course, I would say.
For most men.
I mean, men like you, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's kind of rude. Listen, we're not in session right now.
We're
You
not?
don't have to attack me. No, I can't afford you.
That's true.
So you grew up this way, somewhat restricted, somewhat isolated, but your parents, that it wasn't really them doing the restricting.
So my aunt is married to a woman. So my family is pretty liberal by Texas standards.
Okay.
I would say, but all of the other adult influences in my life at that time were very, very conservative.
Okay.
So, my principals, my teachers, my coaches, all incredibly conservative to the point where like they would sit me down if they heard that I like made out with my boyfriend or something. They would have like a come to Jesus moment with me.
Well, at least you were allowed. I mean, you were allowed to have a boyfriend.
I mean, they would prefer that I didn't.
Oh, they wanted you to remain chaste and just focus on your studies and loving God?
No, they just wanted me to like go to church every day or
Did you go to church a lot? Outside of school, I guess?
I only went if I had a crush on someone that went. Mm-hmm. So only time I felt motivated.
And church boys and girls sometimes are the freakiest
I liked
ones.
everyone in the band.
Oh, the worship band?
Yeah, I was always the worship band.
Oh, see, I didn't even have a worship band in my church growing up. We sang all a cappella in my church. Yeah.
That's horrifying.
No instrument. Yeah, You're looking back, it was kind of weird and chanty and strange, for sure.
I don't like the thought of that.
Yeah, no, it was different.
No,
but
we had
I grew up.
guitars, we had drums. It was great.
Oh, you were just having a rock concert.
We were having a good time.
I wasn't even allowed to listen to music with drums in it.
Oh.
Nothing growing up. Yeah, because
is that why you're bad at dancing now?
There's a number of reasons that I'm bad at dancing, first of all.
Well, I think that's one of them.
It might be.
I would imagine.
It could be. And first of all, you've never seen me dance.
Well, I asked you if you could dance, and you were like, no. So I was like, well, I don't want to see it now.
That's just because I didn't want to go two-stepping with you.
I don't two-step. I would never.
Oh. Was that someone else?
Yes. I would never.
Was it salsa?
No.
What was it?
Just normal. What are you talking? Just normal dancing.
Like crumping, like just with our.
I do like to dance to techno and house music, but I wouldn't throw you into that first round because that can be intense.
Oh, I love that kind of music.
Okay.
I go to those types of shows all the time.
Okay, but you can't just like waddle around dancing wise.
Whoever said I was? Why are we talking about me right now when this is definitely about you and your conservative upbringing and somehow my dancing abilities get brought into? I feel like you're really in dominatrix mode right now. And you just continue to attack me.
Unfortunately, it's actually very hard to turn off.
I imagine. So that was one of the things that I wanted to talk about because I mean, you travel all over the country doing this, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a lifestyle for you. And is it difficult to pull yourself out of that mentality sometimes?
It can be, especially because most of my submissives are men. And so I find myself when I'm interacting with men that I have to really be mindful. Because if I'm interacting recreationally like I am right now, there is an impulse to psychologically dominate men.
Yeah, I feel that a lot. Yeah, no, I feel that. It feels like you just want to step on my balls right now. You like that, Josh?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of people do.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. A lot of people are into that kind of stuff.
There is a lesson to be learned through pain. And
absolutely.
I am happy to be the teacher.
Well, I get tattoos.
Yeah, it's the same.
To deal with that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's a very similar experience.
I agree.
You just have a very attractive woman doing it too, usually.
Well, there's attractive women tattoo artists too. I don't necessarily need them to mutilate my genitals. I
mean, that's just one of the many options.
Psychological domination is another, clearly.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that the way you were brought up, like kind of this restrictive childhood, like influenced you towards this career path?
I think the journey of working through the shame that I was taught and the guilt I was taught about sexuality, once I started working through that, I realized that there was some real power there. Like when women step into owning their sexuality and owning the things that they like, it really unlocks something in them. It did that for me. I can't speak for everyone, but it did that for me. And when I started that process, I was like, okay, let's do more. Let's do more. Let's do more. And then eventually it evolved into what I am today and what I do today.
Yeah.
So it was a process for sure. It took years. And that journey is not easy by any means, but I think it was realizing that I have this shame that I feel like isn't mine. Let me work through that. And then that really kickstarted everything for me.
So this was kind of almost like a therapeutic experience for you.
Absolutely. I mean, that's my goal. As much as I love to watch people squirm, the inner sadist in me loves that. But my goal is to help my submissives work through the shame they have around
that's interesting.
their interests.
Okay.
Because a lot of times they come to someone like me because they don't feel comfortable discussing it with their partners or seeking it out recreationally for whatever reason. And that reason is typically shame related.
Right.
So my goal is to teach them that they don't have to feel shame about their interests and
For anything?
For anything.
Huh. Okay.
For anything.
That's interesting.
Hey, there's somebody for everybody. There's somebody that's into the thing you're into. I can guarantee it.
Oh,
I can guarantee it.
I 100% agree with that. I mean, I've seen some weird stuff out there. Not to shame anyone, but just in, from my perspective, some very weird stuff. I mean, producer Josh, he's got some very, very strange, deviant desires.
What?
Tell me more.
What I want to know what he's talking about.
The stuff with your butt mostly.
That's not deviant. Grow up.
I mean, that's pretty deviant to me.
Nah, he's because I've never done butt stuff, but I've never wanted to do.
Because he's ashamed.
I'm not ashamed of it.
That is where your pleasure center is as a man.
Right in your butt. I've been trying to tell him that, Goddess Cillian, and I think there's a lot of trauma, and he can't feel comfortable with that.
Well, my door is open.
My door's not open. It will remain
the back
closed.
door, so to speak. Yeah.
There are other doors. We can work up to that. I'll earn your trust. Don't worry.
Oh, this is going to be exciting. I'm so happy about this. Okay, so you have been a professional dominatrix for how long?
Almost 2 years, but I started as what's called a lifestyler. So I got introduced into that type of play recreationally with partners and through parties. I did that as what we call a switch. So that means I was comfortable being in a submissive and a dominant role. And I had a lot of really great experiences that helped open me up as a person, helped me work through a lot of my shame around sex and sexuality. So then I just decided, well, I know how to execute this. Why don't I just do it at the pro level? And I started doing that and realized that I really, really enjoyed it. And so I've stuck with it.
What do you think you enjoy about it the most? Is it the feeling that you're helping other people overcome some of their shame, or is it just inflicting pain?
Well, there's a misconception that anyone in a dominant role likes to inflict pain because it causes pain. That's not why we like to do it. We like to inflict pain only if the submissive enjoys it.
I see.
If it derives pleasure, then we want to do that to that person.
Got it.
We're not wanting them to suffer just because we like to witness suffering. Maybe to like a small degree.
Yeah, I was going to say, maybe there's got to be like a little bit
there's
there.
There's a little element of that, but it's mostly because
I don't like being psychologically manipulated, but you still clearly enjoy doing that to me.
You do, though.
That's not true. That's not true at all.
Yeah, it is.
Then you wouldn't have said it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's your kink.
That's not how logic works, Josh.
Yeah, you're saying this isn't. That's like I don't care. That means you do care.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like Josh. He gets it.
He's a very wise producer.
Maybe
really
it's
is.
on a subconscious level, but you do like it.
I
or
like
else I wouldn't be here.
Oh, that's a really good point. Okay, she got me on that one. She really did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so really, as a dominatrix, you derive pleasure in the submissive's pleasure, even though the vehicle for that is pain.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's not always pain. So I specialize in a few different types of play. My style is more hypnotic and sensual in nature. So it's not just like hard and fast sadism. I personally find that boring. I like
Really?
with a little more strategy and a little
How
more
is
tact.
that boring?
Because anyone can be cruel.
Okay.
Anyone can be cruel to a harsh degree. But I like things that are a little more tactical and that will stick with someone for a lifetime.
Subtle sadism.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty interesting. So what
love
is your favorite thing to do to a submissive?
I love heavy bondage.
Okay.
So that could include leather restraints, things that we call sleep sacks, suspension.
Wait, what's a sleep sack?
It can be made out of latex or leather, and it basically looks like a straitjacket, but it's got a hood on it. It's basically like a very tight sleeping bag, and then you can kind of like buckle it up. You can put locks on it, and then you're submissive.
I could never. That terrifies me. Like the claustrophobia I would experience.
Okay, then don't get in a vac bed, whatever you do.
What's a vac bed?
So it is a contraption where it has a latex sheet over it, and then we take a vacuum that sucks all the air out of it, and then you've got holes so you can breathe. And then the dominant or dominance will then play with the submissive in the back bed, which is a very intense sensory experience, but it's very cool. And if
Oh
you're
my
not
God.
claustrophobic, I highly recommend doing it.
So you have eye and mouth holes?
Yes. Well, usually not eye holes, but nose and mouth.
Nose and mouth holes?
And then you can like cover it up for a little bit.
Oh, like
watch
breath
them.
play type stuff? Ooh. I would freak out. I would lose
You
it.
might like it.
You know what?
I know someone with a back bed in town.
I'm really not interested, honestly. That
we'll talk about
sounds
that later.
Okay. Okay, so the heavy bondage type stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
That's probably my number one. I do like impact play only because I like target practice related things. Not necessarily because it is inflicting pain, which like it is fun to leave marks sometimes because I feel like an artist at that point. But I like figuring out which part I want to hit and then hitting it with an impact tool.
An impact. This all sounds so official and non-threatening, but I know you're talking about, like,
It's like
whips.
a prop or a whip or
Yeah.
a paddle. Your hand.
And
you
that's
want it to be.
impact play.
Yes, impact play.
So it's not just beating the hell out of someone.
No, that's abuse.
Okay.
So don't do that.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, we want to steer clear of that. And then I personally find puppy play very adorable. So that's
Puppy play.
yes. So that's when your submissive is your puppy, and you will make them do various tricks. You may have them on a leash. You could put them in a cage. You can give them treats. You can scold them.
Do they wear puppy costumes?
Yes, good ones do.
The good
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 ones do.
puppies wear a costume.
Yes, they come
Okay.
prepared in that scenario.
Wasn't there like Shane Gillis on his most recent special? Name of the special is Beautiful Dogs. Hilarious Netflix
Oh, I think
special.
I've actually seen that.
So funny. But he talks about the dog general. And this was a high-ranking military officer that once he retired from the military came out as a puppy and was wearing a dog mask.
Oh, cute.
I don't know if it was cute necessarily.
Not to you.
Yeah, not to me. You know what? That's a good point.
I think it's adorable.
Okay.
I'll take all the puppies and kittens I can get.
What is it about that you love so much?
I find it amusing. I mean, the whole reason why I like to do this professionally, it's not because I'm attracted to really any of my submissives. It's because it amuses me. I find it interesting. And the whole point of them being in session with me is, first of all, they get to be around a goddess, but
Right.
they also are there to please me or amuse me in whatever way I'm interested in. So if I say bark, you bark. And I find that funny. And so I win.
That is very funny.
It's a great
But it also
situation.
seems a little bit dismissive of their lifestyle. You know, if you just think it's funny, right? And they take this very seriously. I mean, the dog general, obviously, this was who he was. This was his true identity, was a dog, a leather dog.
That's where people, I personally feel like it's really important for anyone who does this recreationally or professionally, that it is play. It is a scene, and that you are a normal person or normal-ish outside of session. Like there's more to you than just that. I think it's really dangerous to identify solely with anything.
I see.
Because maybe one day you can't do that thing for whatever reason.
So you're
And then
saying
who are
don't
you?
take it so seriously, maybe.
Yeah, I think it's meant to be fun.
Okay.
It's meant to be fun. It's meant to be playful. It's meant to be an exchange where consent is really valued. It's a safe space, but it doesn't have to be everything that you are. It's not everything that I am. It's a big part of my life. But
Well, but you've been doing it for so many years, and so you've probably been able to separate yourself from the play and still be a normal person. But I'm just like someone who's just realized I want to be a puppy, right? That they're probably obsessed with it.
yeah,
It
and they'll be
becomes-
like that for like maybe a year, and then they'll.
a year is a long time to
Grow
be
out of it.
obsessed with being a puppy.
I mean, there are people that have like live-in submissives where it's like a full-time dynamic.
Yeah.
And I've actually had a few submissives ask to do that with me, and the thought of that is exhausting. So no, but that means like I would have to constantly be in my dominant role in that relationship, and they would like live in my house as a submissive.
Oh, that would be exhausting.
Yeah, so
mentally,
I'm like, absolutely
emotionally,
not.
everything,
No,
right?
thank you. But there are people that do that. That is a thing that happens. It's not for me personally. I'm busy. I don't have time to babysit. But some people do it.
Oh yeah, I'm sure
It exists.
I'm sure there are a lot of relationships based around that.
So most people who do that have like packs, like it's a whole pack of them, and there's like an alpha in the pack, and
It depends. So there are most certainly dynamics where there is one dominant and multiple submissives. Sometimes they live together, sometimes they don't. That's pretty rare. It's usually in a recreational space. It's usually couples. So there will be a couple. One is more dominant, one is more submissive. Maybe they're both switches. And then they're usually polyamorous or at least open so that they can play with other people. I think that's what you typically see out in the wild. Or you'll have someone like me who does it recreationally and professionally. And most of my partners aren't as experienced as me, so I get the joy of educating them and kind of pulling them into my world.
Most of your partners, plural?
Yes, partners.
Oh, so you have multiple partners.
I do.
Okay, these are romantic partners?
You could call it that.
Okay.
If you wanted to. There are some that are more serious than others, but yes, I am polyamorous. So
Wait, how many partners do you have?
currently,
Yeah.
4.
Oh my God, that sounds exhausting, Josh.
But
how
only,
many partners do you have?
Me? None. I don't have any partners. I have zero
you just
partners.
don't call them that.
How often do you see your partners?
Which ones?
Oh my God, you have to keep track of all that?
Well, there's one that is more serious,
Okay.
and then the rest are recreational,
Okay.
like kind of playthings in my mind. So the one that is more serious does not live here, but I see
nice.
him about once a month usually.
Okay. Now, is he a submissive also?
He is more of a switch, I
Okay.
would say. So I have been introducing him into the kink world because he did not have too much experience with that realm until he met me. So I've been taking it very slow, very steady.
Did he meet you through your profession?
I actually met him through who is now my ex-girlfriend, which is a very complicated situation.
He stole you away from your ex?
No.
No, sorry. Sorry.
We were all dating and then it didn't work out and now he and I are just dating.
See, that's my thing with polyamory, right? I rarely see like thruples or, multiple partners work out.
Do you see just couples normally work out?
No, I mean, that's a really good point. Okay. No, she's got me there. Once again,
Yeah.
God is
Then
Cillian.
don't run your mouth.
Yeah, okay. You're right about
Don't
that.
knock
I'm
it till
sorry.
you try it.
Now put on your doggy mask.
Yeah. Thank you. You and I, we should hang out. I like him.
Just to psychologically, no, just separately from me.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
You're not invited.
I'm not. Well, I'm glad I could be here to start this very exploratory relationship. I'm sure Josh has a lot that he could learn.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You think your wife would be cool with that, Josh?
Absolutely not.
She can come. I go both ways.
What if you're...
She can come. I keep telling her that.
I can help with that as well.
I watched a tutorial going back to Shane
If you
Gillis.
need tips.
Like if Josh, you wanted to hire a dominatrix, do you think your wife would be okay with that as long as it was a professional relationship?
No.
No, not at all.
She's
That wouldn't even be cool.
Most people that are in monogamous relationships are not down. So a lot of my submissives that are in relationships require discretion, aka don't tell anybody and don't show up wearing something suspicious.
Interesting. So this is a service that you are providing to people that even their significant other might have no idea.
Yes, which I don't love that, I will say.
Okay.
And if I build a relationship with someone over time, I will encourage them to talk to their partner about their interests because most of the time they want to be doing that with their partner. They just don't know how to even begin to say, I want your foot in my mouth for like hours at a time.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people, because of how they've been socialized, will react to that in a negative way,
Right.
which is why they're afraid to talk about it.
Do you work with any couples like on a therapeutic base? Okay.
I do.
So like training one of the partners to dominate the other?
Not necessarily. It's usually about, I'm still in a dominant role no matter what I'm doing. So sometimes it will be them being both more submissive or one being submissive and one being dominant with me. It can kind of ebb and flow depending on how everyone's feeling.
That's got to be
Session of the day.
kind of interesting.
It is. And it's really beautiful to see how when couples have that strong of a relationship where they can experience something like that together, like how that can really open up the rest of their relationship in a positive way.
Right.
Of course.
Right. I didn't mean to laugh at that at first, but when you said it's a beautiful thing, I was like,
It
yeah,
is.
just watching people get impact played like that.
It's not always impact play.
I understand. No, I know.
It's not always.
What do you think is the most common request?
That I get?
Yeah.
Can I say pegging? Is that allowed?
I think so. I don't think there's anything wrong with, pegging.
In Austin, I get a lot of pegging requests and
Interesting.
sissification requests. Do you know what that is?
No.
So sissification is...
Specification?
No, sissification.
Oh, sissification.
Like sissy.
Oh, I do know what that is. Yeah.
Yes, but they don't tell me that they're into that until I arrive, and then I'm like, okay, take your clothes off, and then they're wearing lingerie, and I'm like, what are we... You could have given me a heads up about this. I'm not shocked by it. I just get annoyed that they were honest. But that's a very common thing that I encounter, that I will go in for a like bondage and pegging session, and then all of a sudden there's like lace panties on a grown man, which is fine. I have no problem
Absolutely
with that.
not. There's nothing wrong with that.
I just
okay.
dislike the hiding.
Got it.
Is it mostly white dudes?
Yes,
Yeah.
exclusively white men
Really?
that I work with.
Well, do you think that's just because of maybe the machismo culture in Hispanic society? They could just never, like Josh, I could never see you wearing panties ever.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
But I have. I certainly have. Now, as a joke,
But
Uh-huh.
you liked it.
I did it. It hurts. It really hurts.
Well, then get better underwear.
I'm not shopping for these things. I'm usually
I'll
borrowing
send
them.
you links.
Thank you so
I'll
much.
send you links.
My algorithm is going to be ruined.
You'll be fine.
So they just don't want to tell you up front, like, hey, I want to be sissied.
I mean, I haven't really inquired that much about it because at that point I already then know that that's what we're going to be doing today.
But what does that involve? Like you just making fun of them for being...
I usually will call them, they're my pretty girl, or maybe they're my pretty little slut, or something like that. Like they want to be feminized in a way.
Okay.
Which
And
I
then
think
pegged?
is, yes. And it's cute. It's adorable. They just, they want to feel like a pretty little girl
Yeah.
sometimes. And I'm happy to facilitate that. Sometimes everyone wants to feel pretty
Do they?
and get
do
railed.
They? What? I've never had that inclination. Josh?
Pretty little. No. Yeah.
Deep down, it's in there, both of you.
Huh. I maybe
down.
that you could be right. I may just have to
Gotta-
peel back some
yeah,
more
just
layers
start
from
digging.
growing up in a cult.
Yes.
You know?
We'll do it.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah,
I just
maybe-
spent too much time in solitary
Yeah,
confinement.
get really into BDSM and see what.
See
that
that
unlocks.
I've tried most things once. You know?
Yeah, but in what role?
I mean, I've never been pegged. That's never happened to me. But I mean, I've definitely had
That's going to
some,
be literally
some exploration
the key
back there.
to unlock you.
No, I don't think so. I really don't think that's accurate at all.
That's so boring.
I apologize that you find me
It's not
boring.
my problem, it's yours.
There we go. Right. But yeah, I mean, I just I've done some of the bondage type stuff, some of the sadism type stuff, like tying people up and that sort of
Yeah,
thing.
but have you gotten tied up?
Yeah, I sure have. I just never was that. Never really did much for me.
Okay.
I just,
Have fun with your vanilla sex.
you know what? That feels like you might be shaming me for my preferences.
I am.
So it's allowed in that type
I'm
of
kidding.
scenario.
I would never.
The eye roll was so extreme on that.
I would never.
I hope
I don't know what you're talking
that the
about.
camera was on you at that point. Actually, no, we're getting separate feeds, so I can make sure to zoom in on your eyes.
By all means.
Okay.
I'm
But
kidding. I would never.
So what are like the weirdest requests that you've gotten?
I don't think any of them are weird.
None of them.
No. I think probably the ones that other people find interesting are the golden shower requests for sure. I think that those people have a hard time understanding that. And that is in the realm of consumption. So there's consumption kinks and interests, which involve consuming lots of different
Fluids.
things. Yeah, it could be fluids. It could be chewed up food. It could be, water you've swished around in your mouth.
Huh.
It could be anything.
What about let's say, fecal matter?
That is a hard limit for me personally, but
Really?
lots of other people do that.
Interesting.
Mostly because I am a little bit of a hypochondriac. So
Okay.
anything where I'm really concerned about like health risk or like cleanliness
Well, but if
issues.
you're pooping on them, it doesn't really present a health risk for you, does it?
But to them, it could.
Oh, so that's your nurturing nature coming out. You don't want
That's
them to.
my Domme mommy energy.
Dommy mommy. We've heard that one before,
Yes,
Josh.
it's a very
Yeah.
common. Very
Interesting.
common trope.
So the risk of them having some sort of health issue because of you.
It's also just like messy, and I don't want to deal with it.
So you have done it. It sounds like you have done
I
it.
have not.
Oh, you've never done it.
But I know what happens when you do that,
Okay.
and I just don't want to deal with it.
Huh. Okay. Well, I mean, that's
And I
you
get
know,
to make the rules. So
that's
I go,
right. You
"No."
are the dominatrix.
Very simple.
And it's whatever you want to do, whatever pleases you, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Or a good submissive will want that.
Right.
One that's been well trained and is a true veteran when it comes to play and scenes will want whatever the dom wants. Obviously within the agreed upon terms
Right.
and limits, but that should be their goal.
That was one of the other things that I was wondering. I'll get back to some of the consumption play because that one just fascinates me. Maybe that might actually be like my thing, and I
Yeah,
just
have you
don't
tried
know
it?
Yeah, I've tried it. Definitely tried it. It just, it was kind of, all right, well, that was a thing, but it didn't really, spark anything in me.
Yeah, but you have to do it in combination with other things. You can't just do the one thing.
Maybe that was
You
the
have
problem.
to it's like part of a journey. You can't
Okay.
just like jump into chapter 4 and then not finish the book.
Huh. So a part of other so if I am doing consumption play, it would need to be more than just drinking someone's
For you, for some people,
Okay.
they can have that and just be thrilled. You've made their day. But maybe you need like a mix of like more sensual domination and bondage and consumption. And, there should be a negotiation beforehand. There should be aftercare. Those things aren't happening. You just got pissed on and that was it.
Wow. Yeah, that does seem kind
It's
of
not a
extreme.
scene at that point, right? It's just like, okay, we did this.
Maybe it's the
thing.
vacuum bed plus
Yes.
the consumption play.
Like I said, I know a guy.
Interesting.
I can make this.
set all this
Yeah,
up.
I can make this real for you.
Do you pour the fluid into their mouth, or does it come straight out of you?
It depends. Both are options.
Okay.
And it depends on my comfort level with the submissive. So if it's a submissive that I feel comfortable around and I've been working with for a while or playing with for a while, then I'm happy to do it direct from the source. It's one that I'm not super
Like artesian water.
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy.
It's designer. Or if I'm not as comfortable, I will use champagne glasses because I am classy. And then some of them may not want to ingest. Some may just want to have it wash over them. So it really just depends
Okay.
on the preference of the submissive in that scenario.
Wow. So that actually kind of does lead, your level of comfort leads to the question I was going to ask. And that is, do you have a way of background checking these people
Absolutely.
or verify? Okay.
So we call that screening in the biz.
Okay.
And anyone that does session with me screens. No questions about it. If you don't screen, fuck off. That's my mentality. My safety is more important than you needing to be anonymous completely. Right. So they will need to give me a photo of their ID. And at that point, I will run a background check. I will look up any social media profiles. And then they will also need to pay part of what we call tribute up front.
Tribute.
To secure their session.
Okay.
And then I will set aside the date and the time at that point after they've cleared their background check.
Huh. Okay. Well, that does seem pretty safe. But you're doing all this on your own.
Yes.
So you don't employ a service for these screens.
Nope.
Huh.
All me, baby.
Wow. Well, and you are pretty particular and a bit of a perfectionist,
Yes.
It seems like. So
Very type A.
you're probably very good at that.
I mean, it's not rocket science. You have someone's name and their address and you just put it into a background checker.
I guess I've never really done that.
Yeah.
Josh, have you run background checks before? Is it pretty simple?
Oh, I have no idea. I've never run. I've done. I've looked people up on a list before, but that's about it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, make sure they're not on any list.
Yeah, an offender list.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that seems
We don't want that.
pretty important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, who was on the list?
Nobody. We would play a game, and it was like, "Oh, are you an offender?" And then we just start typing their name on a podcast, and they get really weird about it. And then we'd grill them, and be like, "Are you on the list? Get the fuck out!" And they're
Right.
like, "No, we're not
Wait,
on the
I
list."
love that.
And then we give them a certificate, and it says, "I'm not an offender."
Oh, that's kind of cute.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
fun little game show
I think
idea.
every man needs a certificate, and they should wear it around their neck like a badge. That way we know.
Yeah. But
Just
Why are
agree.
you on the list?
Just agree.
no. I'm just saying, like, from a privacy perspective, if you're having to walk around with a badge, that feels, I don't know. That's
Well,
what
then don't.
Hitler did. So
We're not. Let's not.
I'm just saying, it seems like that could be
Getting
pretty
into an
problematic.
area I don't need to go in.
Okay. All right. We'll
But-
steer away from that.
If you're an offender, I think you should wear a badge. You're already on the list.
That's true.
What's one more thing?
I mean, it might cause some violence towards that person potentially,
No, probably.
and you're okay with that?
No comment.
No comment.
They
All right.
cause some violence. Why not?
That's
Yeah.
true.
An
No,
eye
I
for an
don't.
eye.
Okay. Wow.
I agree.
Yeah.
What if you later find out that they were falsely accused?
Whoops. That's the extent. What you're going to get out of me.
All right. No, I understand.
That's
I get
a
it.
whoopsie moment. And then you carry on with
That's
your
a
day.
whoops-a-daisy.
Yeah, we all make mistakes.
Yeah. So do you believe in? I don't even want to get into that. Never mind. Okay. So you are now this professional dominatrix, coming from this very, I don't want to say isolated background, because it really wasn't. It wasn't like mine growing up in the cult. I mean that one was pretty
it was
extreme.
not cult level, but
Yeah.
I mean, I graduated with 40 people in my senior class.
Wow.
So it was this very small school. And we had like no people of color in my school. I think we had like
Oh, wow.
4 in my whole high school, which was, now I look back on it, fucking horrifying. And it's really lucky that I didn't turn out to be an absolute terror of a person. But I was lucky enough to go to a big state school for college, and that just like opened up my world immediately at that point. And so I got to explore a lot more at that time, which helped a lot. But my school, my upbringing was pretty small, not cult level, because I was still living, in a big city.
You still had friends. You were allowed to go to parties and that sort of thing, right?
I wasn't allowed, but I went.
Oh, okay.
Anyways.
And they didn't send you off to some weird isolation camp
No.
when you did party.
No.
So that's
I
nice.
did get suspended once, though.
From school?
Yeah.
Were your parents disciplinarians?
They tried to be.
You were just a little too headstrong.
Well, they both worked a lot, so they were gone, and it was just my nanny from Monterrey, Mexico, and she was like, I don't know what to
You
do.
had a nanny?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know what to do with this like crazy teenager girl, so she
Right.
was just like, all right. Just gonna,
You just do your thing.
yeah, just calling my mom, being like, I don't know what to do about this.
She scares me.
Yeah.
She is threatening me with a whip.
I would never. Oh, I loved her. But
Okay.
I just was very headstrong. I always have been very strong-willed as a person. So I think eventually I was just like, all right, enough of that. And I did have some friends in public school, but I honestly was like too focused on what was next to be too invested in my life in high school at that time. I was ready to go.
You had goals and ambitions.
Yes, I did.
What did you, because I know we've talked about that you and I had kind of similar experiences after high school, where it was, diving into this subculture. I had some pretty severe issues with substance abuse, and I think you probably went through some of that as well.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I had a phase.
How long was your phase?
Which part?
Okay.
The really bad part was only like 2 years.
Okay.
She got it together after that. But it was like a slow burn. I'm incredibly curious, if that isn't evident by now. And so I just got a little too curious about too much and got a little wrapped up in that for a while. But I still graduated from a really nice private college.
Oh, okay.
With 2 degrees. So she
Wow.
got it together. And then I was an absolute train wreck for like a year after college. And then I like truly got it together. And
Oh, so you were experimenting during college,
oh, yeah. And after.
and then a year after that.
Yeah.
And then you finally got it together all the way?
Yes.
Okay.
Depends what you mean by that. I mean, to some people, I probably they don't agree with the way I live. So
well, but that's a lifestyle choice. It's not like you're addicted.
Oh no, I'm
something.
not addicted to anything.
Yeah.
No, besides nicotine, but we're working on that. We're working on that.
It is what it is, right? You can't give up all the vices. That's what I always say. You have to have at least a couple.
Honestly agree.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're going to go crazy.
Yeah, I might cause property damage, I feel like, without it. So I don't want to go to jail. So we're going to do the nicotine and stay.
Absolutely.
calm.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I mean, doctors disagree, but...
Well, but what do doctors know?
I mean, a lot more than you and I, and that's for damn sure.
I don't know about that. I really don't. I think the last few years showed us that doctors really don't know what they're talking about a lot of times.
I will kick this mic away from you if you continue on this. We don't know. We're not going to...
No, doctors are great people. We love them.
We're not going to talk about science.
And we trust the science. Right, Josh?
You don't. What are you talking about?
No, that's not true. I trust the science.
No, you always complain about it.
Are you going to give me measles? Do I need to be concerned?
What? No. What do you think originally sent you down the path of experimentation with various substances? Because you and I did a lot of the same substances. I don't want to, name them individually
don't out
necessarily.
me.
Right. I know. But it was of the harder variety.
Yes.
Put it that way.
Look, I like things that are intense. For better or for worse. But I think that there was a lot of things that contributed to me going down that path. A lot of it was unresolved trauma. I mean, I just had a lot of difficult experiences growing up, whether they were related to religion or not. And I didn't know what to do with any of them. And no one gave me any coping mechanisms or skills or anything. And I found other ways to cope that were not healthy and felt great at the time.
It does feel great. That's the whole problem with it, is how great it truly feels.
And it did make me feel better for a while until it didn't. And then I
Right.
just had more problems. And so then I addressed the original problems and no longer felt the need to behave that way.
How did you address the root causes there?
I did EMDR and trauma therapy.
Did you really?
Highly recommend for anyone that is dealing with PTSD.
Oh my God. Lindsay Williams, a good friend of mine, friend of the pod. She's done several episodes of Friends with Davey. And she talks about EMDR quite a bit.
Big fan, 10 out of 10.
Interesting. Yeah, I've heard so much about it, and it's been so impactful for her because she also grew up in the cult and was, part of the cult leaders' inner circle.
Oh.
Yeah, so she went through quite a bit. And EMDR, she says, is the most effective form of therapy for her.
Yeah, for me too. Especially if you're trying to revisit some painful experiences, it helps you move through that and reprocess in a much safer way. It did more for me than just talk therapy. I think you should do both. I think you should do EMDR and have like a specialized trauma therapist that is trained in having those conversations and facilitating that. But highly recommend. But once I did that, the self-destructive impulses kind of faded away.
Interesting.
I didn't feel the need to trash my life.
And now you want to destruct other people.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
When they want it.
When it brings them pleasure.
Yes.
Or amuses you.
Yes, also that.
Okay.
Because sometimes what brings them pleasure is what brings me pleasure. Sometimes it's a little Uno reverse situation, and then whatever I say goes.
Oh, the old Uno reverse card. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So,
do you think that your fascination and attraction to that type of lifestyle is part of your trauma, though, or do you think you're able to separate it entirely?
I think that my trauma has led me to have a number of morbid fascinations, and it's probably associated. I really have always loved things that are taboo or darker or kind of like the unknown, or don't go over there. I'm going to go over there. I've always been that type of person, again, very curious. What I find is when you go into these darker places, there's actually quite a bit of light there if you're not too scared to venture in and form your own opinions.
It's also a lot easier to see the light when you're in a very, very dark place.
But I mean, that's not to say that these spaces are 100% altruistic and safe. They're not. There are bad people everywhere.
Yeah.
But I do think that it's more interesting to me, and it's worth the risk of exploring it. Life is short, so let me go see what all it has to offer. And I was so tired of being this boring person. I was told that I needed to get married and have kids and be quiet and not, basically not exercise power in any aspect.
Not be a nasty woman.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how I feel about that either. Oh. But I have a strong personality. I wanted to find spaces where I could step into that authentically.
Yeah.
And the realms I'm in now allow me to do that. I'm celebrated for the fact that I am strong and that I'm okay with being in a dominant role. Whereas the spaces I grew up in, I was shamed for that deeply. Like, I'll never forget it, like talking about politics in high school or whatever. And all the boys in my class, because I thought that gay people should have rights, were like, you should just stop talking. Why do you even talk? Blah, blah, just going off because I disagreed with them. And I was just like, no, just annoy the shit out of them probably. But now.
Well, they were probably, hiding from some of their own thoughts.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
And now they're your clients.
Not yet. I haven't had anyone that I actually know IRL.
That's kind of surprising.
I would probably refer them to someone else if they request it, just because it's a conflict of interest.
But is it though? I mean, you talk about a really personal connection there.
Yeah.
And really being able to help someone. If you know.
Yeah, but if I dislike them, it might bring out too much sadism. And so they should go.
It might stop being enjoyable for them.
Yes.
The impact play potentially.
I have self-control, but it creates a dynamic that is not preferable to me. So I would send them. I have lots of friends that do this work, so I would send them to someone.
It is a really large community. That's one of the things that really surprised me, Josh, is that this is widespread.
I mean, there's probably, I know of at least like 6 dominatrixes in Austin.
Wow. That are all doing this professionally at the same level you're doing it?
Even more so, some of them. Some of them are really, really established that I actually admire. But they're all over, pretty much in every major city. You'll find one. And then there's people that do solely online work, which online work is my least favorite. I like in-person session, but there's some people that literally just like bully men online and get paid to do that all day.
I do that. Does that make me a dominatrix?
No.
Yeah, no, so we had another dominatrix on the podcast, like a year ago maybe? And that was her experience, was exclusively online.
Yeah, I just feel like it's so hard to really get that connection. I think that's what I like about it is in-person session. I feel like I can really like crawl into someone's brain and snoop around in there.
That sounds terrifying.
I love it.
Yeah.
Let me get in there. Let's see what's going on.
That's a little scary.
Well,
yeah.
That's kind of the point.
That's true.
You
got to scare them a little bit.
Just a hair, not too much, because then they won't come back. So just
unless they're into that, unless they really want to feel fearful.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people think that, and then when you actually make them afraid, they're like, no. So you got to be strategic about that. But the online work, I feel like it feels way too transactional in a way, and I feel like some of these submissives that only interact in online spaces are just doing it to get like a dopamine hit. You know what I mean? Like it feels a little fiendy to me, and I think that's why I don't like it.
It seems to lack authenticity too a little bit.
Well, I think it's because a lot, and like I'm not knocking anyone's hustle. If you only do online work, more power to you. But I think there's been a big trend of people who are not dominant in real life, or like they don't play, they don't do BDSM or anything, that have come onto spaces like Twitter, for example, where a lot of us...
Well, X now, formerly known as Twitter.
What? I'm calling it Twitter forever.
Listen, we need to... we respect Elon Musk.
I do not.
On this podcast. Okay. Well,
that's a different conversation. But there's a lot of people that go online and they don't play, they don't do anything else, and they just have like pay pigs, right? Where they like...
Pay pigs.
They'll like drain their wallets or like, bully them, and then they'll send them money, and and that's well and fine.
That's FinDom, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So
Financial domination. I knew that one.
That's a form of domination. It's like a subset of it. But I just find I have a hard time imagining doing that and not doing other types of play. But that's just me. Again, I'm not knocking anyone's hustle. More power to you if that's your thing. I just feel like maybe the ethos of BDSM is lost a little bit in that space if they don't have exposure to it.
So you're a moral dominatrix, not just a dominatrix, but you want to preserve the integrity of your craft.
I want to preserve the integrity of consent.
Okay.
is what it's really about. And I think that there's a misconception that BDSM, whether it's professional or recreational, is abusive. And it absolutely is not when done right. But there are a lot of people that don't embody the ethos of that consent is paramount and it must be continual and enthusiastic. And you need to negotiate and you need to be good at negotiating. I think that there are a lot of people that don't do that. And they take advantage of people that are curious and trying to explore. And I think that that is reprehensible. Straight to jail.
So they financially exploit these people or even physically exploit them.
There's lots of people that do that. And everyone has limits, right?
Sure.
And you need to know what those limits are. Because I personally think it is unethical to put someone, if you drain someone's finances so much that they cannot pay rent, they cannot buy food. I think that is unethical.
Well, so
personally.
that was one of the things I was gonna kind of bring up is there are people that are addicted as a submissive to this lifestyle,
Absolutely.
right? They can't function without it. How do you handle that when you've got a sub that is basically fiending for your services?
I do not see them. So I don't like, I actually was talking to somebody about this the other day. There's a very specific energy that comes into session when they are fiend-like. They're really hasty. They want it to be really intense, really fast. They want the most for the less amount of time. I don't operate that way. I have a very hypnotic and intentional style. So they're not going to like the way I run my sessions anyways. I'm not going to be the dom for them, and I'm okay with that. I want people that want an experience, that want me to build the experience for them in a very slow and intentional way that allows me to be more creative. Like, I don't want it to just be like intense for an hour.
You just run up in their house and start beating the hell out of them.
I don't like that. I think that's quite boring. But if I do encounter that, if I find someone that's really fiendy with me, I will have a conversation with them about why we are not going to work together anymore, and I will send them on their way. And I will make some recommendations for things that I think would benefit them. And it would not be to engage in more sessions.
Maybe just rehab, yeah.
Yeah, or like to, talk to somebody, talk to a therapist. There are sex therapists out there. I mean, there's lots of people that you can have conversations with. But I don't think, if I have a submissive and they are not better than how I found them, I have not done my job.
That's so interesting. So there really is an aspect of integrity with this for you.
I think there should be with any job.
I mean, and that's really what it boils down to is that for you, this is a job that you are doing, very non-traditional, but at the same time, it does, in your experience, help people.
Yeah, it can. It absolutely can. And I think that we are only going to allow this space to continue existing if people are maintaining the morals and the values of our community, whether it's recreational or professional. It's really, really important to do that. And it also is like safety concern, right? Like if you push someone behind their limits when they're in like suspension bondage, they can get really hurt.
Suspension bondage? Oh, that's where they get tied up with the ropes.
Yes. Or it could be in the sleep sack or, anything.
You suspend them in the sleep sack?
Yeah, you can.
Just lift them up into the air with
like a pulley system.
Oh, wow. That sounds fancy.
I know. I'm actually about to set up the rigging in my dungeon to do that.
Wow. So you're going to have a whole, like a crane.
Well, I'm going to have my upper body strength and the pulley.
Okay.
And the rope.
How big a system do you think you'd need for Josh?
I mean, I just need one really good hard point, and then I can rig you up there.
Oh, he's got a hard point. Tell you what. Sorry. Okay. So this is something that's really interesting to me is, do your submissives, do you find them falling in love with you, developing an extreme emotional attachment, and how do you deal with that?
I have had that happen a few times. When that happens, I usually have to have like a little sit down moment. And so I will sit in my pretty little bondage chair and they will sit on the floor. And we will have a conversation about boundaries and how this is a professional relationship and that I have recreational partners that are very important to me and they stay on that side of session and you stay on this side of session. So I will draw boundaries that way, mostly because it's not good for them to be building up too much emotional currency in our relationship because I'm going to maintain that professional boundary.
Right.
Almost always.
It could give them the wrong impression.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And my goal is I want them to go out there and find it on their own. I don't want them to session with me till they die. I mean, they can if they want to, but I would rather them eventually feel like they can go out and find that in the real world and have like a healthy relationship where like that type of play is included.
Has it ever become, well, have your submissives ever become dangerous where you've had to?
I've been so lucky and that has never happened.
So that surprises me a lot.
I've been so lucky, but I have really strong intuition. So like if I'm interacting with someone, we're negotiating the scene before I see them in person. Usually based on how they ask for what they want, I can tell whether or not they are a real submissive, first of all. So if they are being too pushy, too demanding, I want you to wear this and I want you to do it this way and then that and then that. If they're being too specific, I'm like, this is not a real submissive. Or they're not well trained in either way, I'm not messing with that. Or if they are like incessant in communication, like they're just emailing me over and over and over and will not stop, unhealthy, immediately no.
Okay.
And then background checks, of course. Like if you've got something weird on your background, I'm not even gonna.
It's just a hard immediate.
I'm not gonna roll the dice on that by any means.
I feel like there's just so many misconceptions about this particular aspect of your industry, where people think, oh yeah, it can be very dangerous.
I mean, it can. Don't get me wrong. It absolutely can.
For people who are not doing it in a professional way.
Even that way, I mean, there are people that their records are completely clean. You know, like there's nothing you'll find, but it is a calculated risk, right? And that's why we need more people advocating for SW rights and protections and decriminalization, because we are not safe.
Wait, is what you do technically illegal?
Technically, yeah. It's a gray area in certain states for sure. Depends on the types of play that are happening. It's most certainly frowned upon from a legal standpoint.
We do live in the Bible Belt after all.
Yes. So it really depends, I guess, on the types of play included.
I could definitely see like pegging is just like a hard no, right? Because that's, insertion.
Yeah.
Right?
But it's like, think about queer sex, right? Especially between two women, insertion doesn't necessarily need to happen. It's still sex. So the definition of that gets like a little watery. So it becomes like a gray area for sure. So I consider myself an in-person SW, and I specialize in BDSM. And I see myself, along with everyone else that does in-person work, regardless of what type of work it is. So we are not held in high regard by the legal system or by law enforcement by any means.
Yeah, which is so interesting because there's tons of other professions, let's say, where you're fucking people a lot harder than you are.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, 100%.
Now, with your dominatrix role, there isn't intimacy in the traditional sense with your clients, correct? That's not something that you do?
What do you mean by intimacy?
I mean, sex.
Yeah, no, that's not something that typically happens in a session. Everyone runs their session differently. But there is intimacy. It's just not that.
Right. That's why I said in the traditional sense.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So that's not, at least in my sessions, that's something that doesn't really happen. But there are some people that do. So it really just depends. It's up to the preference of the person, just like any interaction would be.
Sure. Now, when you're pegging a guy,
yes,
is that a scenario where you strap something on to yourself, or are you using a handheld device?
Either one.
Really?
Or both.
Both? At the same time?
Depends.
Why'd you look at me like that?
Both?
Yeah, I know.
That's a lot of stuff pegging into you.
It depends. Everybody has different interests and requests
and sizes. Apparently, I mean, my God.
Yeah, and it's always the blue collar ones that like that.
The tough manly men that want to.
Every
really.
Time. The more masculine the man, the more that will be involved. I have found. Which is surprising. I guess actually no, it's not. But at first, it did surprise me. I would say.
Yeah, I would think it'd be more like the A-type, office setting corporate guys that would want that?
I find that they're more into feet. They're more the foot guys usually.
Okay.
The foot guys are the bondage guys.
Interesting.
I would say the office guys.
Are you constantly telling them to arch their back because they keep hunching over?
No, I don't care what their back looks like.
Oh, okay.
Oh. When they assume the position,
They
Josh.
assume the position.
But
arch your back.
they
Yeah.
usually do it on their own.
Wow.
Look,
Really?
they're trying to impress me.
Yeah. They're going to throw it back.
It's just,
Yeah.
it's way up there, typically speaking.
Yeah.
I mean, I would not have guessed that.
Yeah, they want to impress me.
Interesting.
They put their back into it, literally.
God.
It's great. And I'm like, good for you.
Wow.
I'm like, someone's been working out. Love that.
I don't know if they've been working out. I don't know if that's a workout necessarily. Maybe.
Absolutely.
Oh,
is.
Or like,
shit, you're so
yo-
powerful.
You try to hold an arch for
I can't.
an hour.
I don't think I wouldn't brag about that if I could.
Should brag about that. The world is changing, my friend. You're gonna have to get a back arch real soon.
Wow.
Start practicing now.
I'm going to have to do the back arch mirror selfies and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think, I
You
think
want
I'm
hoochie
not
daddy
going to
shorts
survive.
and crop tops this summer.
Really? You think that's
we
what's
want
coming?
that's what I want from men.
Yeah.
Show me the quads.
Yeah, but you also like to watch men kiss.
I do.
Yeah.
It's cute.
Mm.
I love it.
What do you think about that, Josh?
I wouldn't describe it as cute, but
I love it. I think it's adorable.
Maybe, yeah, I wouldn't say cute at all.
Yeah.
But I'm happy for them. Are you happy for them, Josh?
that's a different feeling. It's I get the same reaction I do when I see two ugly people kiss.
Huh.
Ugh. I don't think it's wrong. I just, ugh.
I don't want to see this. But
By
God
all
is
means.
Cillian
I love
loves it. Yeah.
Look, I just like to see people enjoying each other. I think that's beautiful.
Well, that's very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should try it.
Kiss a man?
Yeah.
No, I think
You've kissed a man before.
I have kissed a man before.
Yeah, but like
I played
for
in emo
real.
bands. No, I'm not really interested in that.
Well, you don't know yet because you haven't done it. You haven't had a passionate, long kiss with a man you're attracted to.
I've had some pretty long kisses, in the early 2000s, I would say, playing in emo
I think
bands.
you should try again. I think you should.
Josh, you can't agree
should
with
try
that.
I think
No,
you two should make
no.
out.
Not at all.
I mean, if I was going to make out
how
with
much
anyone,
cash would it take for me to get you guys to make out?
ooh, Father Josh.
Not at all.
What? You don't have a
I
price?
have
Everyone's a price.
$4,000 in my purse right now.
Whoa.
I'm not kissing you
$4,000.
for $4,000, dude.
Josh, we could
I'm not
split
gonna
it
give
evenly.
you $4,000. I'd maybe give you guys like 100 each.
Oh,
Whoa.
no, I would never.
Fine.
I'm not that kind of girl.
Fine. Boring.
Think I'm some cheap.
I mean, a little bit, but
Okay, well, I guess there's that.
you kind of have that aura for
I
me.
really do. I just have that energy.
You have big energy.
Oh,
You're
I-
a pretty little remember?
Which, like, I'm not knocking that. We're reclaiming the word own it.
I'm gonna have to edit all this out. I mean,
We can't say slut.
I don't know.
That's so boring.
I'm gonna just bleep it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all. It's all right. It's
bleep it out.
It's been fun talking about
Yeah, I love him.
love.
Big
love a
fan.
good. Yeah.
Big fan.
Okay.
10 out of 10.
Do you still consider yourself religious at all?
I am spiritual, but not in traditional ways.
Okay.
So technically, I guess I'm pagan.
Okay, that is a religion.
My family was originally from Ireland. I'm American. Let me make that
I think
clear. But
everyone knew the Irish thing.
it is fake. The red's fake.
It's more so your skin and your features.
Yes.
You're just so
I
pale,
am translucent.
Yep. Like the inside of a potato.
I like to say that I look like a jellyfish, but okay.
Oh, okay. Jellyfish is nice. A vampire.
Thank you.
You have vampy vibes.
That's what my therapist called me today. She said-
Your therapist called you a vampire?
No, she said you're giving vampire vibes today, and I was like, thank you.
Oh,
She knows that it's a compliment
okay.
for me. But what was the question?
Your family in Ireland.
Oh yeah. So my family originally from Ireland a very long time ago, and they were predating the Catholics coming in, so they were pagans, and so
Druids.
Yes,
I think was
Druids.
the thing, right?
And so I have taken some of the Celtic practices and have implemented them in my own. I basically just do a bunch of rituals and burn a bunch of shit and light candles, and I feel better.
What kind of rituals are you doing?
I do a lot of prosperity magic.
Okay.
Hence why I'm well off now. Thank you.
Oh, you attribute that to your rituals?
And my hard work, obviously, but
Sure.
it doesn't help to have like a little sprinkle of magic in there.
Okay.
Good luck. It's just like manifestation on steroids, essentially, for all the yogis out there. It's like I'm just setting intentions with like more stuff happening, essentially, and like maybe some chanting.
One of my friends, kind of similar ideology when it came to her practice of spirituality, and she talked a lot about sex magic too.
Yes,
that's
we
a big thing.
love sex magic.
Okay.
We love it.
Yeah, she would not pleasure herself unless she had some sort of intention behind that.
Say your manifestations when you have the big O. Everyone. I promise it will happen.
You getting this, Josh?
Mm-hmm.
It's creation.
Do you already do
energy.
that, Josh?
Mm-hmm.
You do.
Yeah.
Everyone should.
Wow.
Get on it.
I've just been doing it all wrong.
Yeah, maybe then you'll actually get to like tour around the
I go
country.
sold out rooms. I will be a big comedian.
Yeah, that's how you make it happen.
You yell it like that?
Yeah, like that. Oh. Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
Oh, you're doing it with your partner.
Yeah.
With your wife.
Yeah,
I don't know why I
of
said
course.
partner there.
This is why. So my most serious partner that I have, I try to see him on like every full moon.
Oh.
So April 8th was really big for you.
Yeah.
What's April 8th?
April 8th was the
The eclipse?
yeah.
Did you do some magic on the eclipse?
I sure did.
Wow. Was it?
In a tent.
Oh.
Which not my favorite, but
Yeah,
it's fine. You got to make do.
still fun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you still had your manifestation.
Yeah.
That's great.
Sure did.
Did-
All my dreams are coming true slowly but surely.
That's great. Not me and Josh. I think we're
Well,
doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Why do you keep including me on
Yeah.
that?
He's
Okay.
doing, first of all, he's doing it. You're the one that's not
Yeah.
even trying.
That's true. I'm really not. I need
Get on
to.
it.
I need to get. You're right.
That's your assignment for this evening.
First of all, you don't get to give me
Yes, I
assignments.
do.
Okay.
I absolutely do. You're going to go home, you're going to do some sex magic, and then we're going to check in about a month and we'll see where your manifestation is at.
Some anal sex magic.
Honestly,
Some prostate magic, if you will.
I honestly think that would be more effective because it's more intense.
That's why you're not famous yet, Josh.
Okay.
Yeah, you need to get. You need to
you
get a
can
finger
start-
up in there.
Oh, okay.
Or two.
Two. Jesus.
Just saying.
Real.
You got to go for it.
Go big or go home. I guess. Yeah.
How important are those dreams?
Get a dragon. Get a dragon. You know what I'm talking about, right? Those gigantic.
Oh my God,
oof.
no.
Those things are rough
Those
looking.
scare me even.
Oh, it's terrifying.
I mean, I
looking.
think they're mostly novelty.
I would agree with that. There's
I
no
would-
way anyone's doing that
Well,
for
I mean,
fun.
it just wouldn't be comfortable.
I guess it is for fun, not for pleasure, I guess.
Yeah. But I like, I have some novelty things just because they're hilarious. And then you'll like bring it out just to like scare someone. You don't actually use it, but
Oh, wow. Can you imagine?
just like
Dragon or squid?
just an intimidation tactic. I have no tentacles in my house.
Oh, okay.
I'm not opposed to them, but
Just not your thing specifically.
I'm not into like monster type scenes.
One of the blue collar guys comes in, she just brings out a huge dude. Like just another dude.
I mean, one time it was bring your own toy day, and the toy that was brought to me was the biggest I'd ever seen.
Really?
I was like, "Are you sure?" And they were like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Okay." By all means, I'm happy to
I mean,
accommodate.
can't that hurt your internal organs?
If you are practiced and prepared, no. I
Interesting.
mean, obviously, there's a certain.
If you a loose hoe,
Everything takes practice to get good at, and that person had a lot of practice.
Whoa. Wow. That's so intense.
And we love that for him.
Absolutely. You know
love
what?
that for
More power to him.
He had a great time.
I'm glad he's enjoying himself. That sounds horrific to me. I just, yeah.
Again, boring.
Okay. Well, whatever. Guys, Cillian, absolutely incredible having you on the podcast. Where can people find? I know people are going to want to look you up. We might even have some folks that would like to
Session.
Session. I was going to say pay for your services, but session is a much better way to say that.
Session. Mm-hmm. You can find me as Serve Cillian on Instagram and Twitter. I also have my website, which is servekillian.com, where you can apply to serve me.
Wow. Serve Cillian. Mm-hmm. All right. And we'll, I don't know how that's spelled, so we'll make sure we get the spelling right so we can put it on the screen, because I know there's going to be some folks that, need you.
Yeah.
They need you.
Or just want. Wanting is fine too.
Okay. That's good.
I'll take both.
Well, but you're here to help. And I'm sure they could use that help.
I mean, that's my goal.
Yeah.
But we can just have fun too. That's fine.
Oh, just a fun time.
Yeah.
Just a fun time with
I prefer to change lives, but I'll take
gigantic
a fun time too.
latex items.
Oh, my favorite.
Yeah.
My favorite.
Wow. Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here.
You're very welcome.
Thank you all for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. We love you, and we'll see you next time. Bye.